Did you know that some isopods grow as big as small house cats? Yes, while pill bugs roll into tiny harmless balls, their ocean cousins grow massive claws and armored bodies that look like alien tanks. Both creatures belong to the same crustacean group called Isopoda, but one lives quietly under garden rocks, while the other crawls through the deep sea like something from a horror movie. But what really makes isopods more terrifying than pill bugs? To begin with, they grow to stupendous sizes. Pill bugs are small enough to fit on your fingertip easily. Most measure less than 1 inch long and weigh almost nothing. Now compare that to the giant isopod found deep underwater. The species Bathynomus giganteus can grow over 16 inches long. Some even weigh more than 3 pounds in total. That means you could hold a pill bug in one hand, but an adult giant isopod could fill both hands easily. Some related Bathynomus species grow even larger than expected. Researchers have measured individuals close to 20 inches long. That is about the length of a standard school ruler. Just imagine a roly-poly stretched to ruler size. Now, besides their size, their bodies look thicker and heavier than pill bugs. Each segment appears wide, hard, and heavily armored. When submarines film them, they resemble crawling helmets with legs. Their sheer bulk changes how you react instantly. Size alone changes how something feels emotionally to humans. Bigger creatures trigger stronger fear responses in our brains. A tiny bug feels manageable and easy to ignore, but a cat-sized crustacean feels like something prehistoric. But if you think size is the scariest part, wait until you hear about where they actually live. Pill bugs live under rocks, logs, and garden soil. You can flip a stone and find one instantly. They prefer damp environments with mild temperatures and oxygen. In fact, you share the same breathable air without effort. Giant isopods, on the other hand, live thousands of feet below ocean surface levels. Scientists usually find them between 2,000 and 7,000 feet deep. At those depths, sunlight never reaches the ocean floor. Here, the world becomes permanently dark and freezing cold. Water pressure increases massively with every foot of depth. At 7,000 feet, pressure reaches thousands of pounds per square inch. Most surface animals would die quickly under such crushing force. However, giant isopods survive using dense bodies and tough exoskeletons. Temperatures often hover just above freezing in those depths, while food remains scarce and widely scattered across vast distances. They move slowly across muddy seabeds, searching patiently for meals, and submersible cameras have captured them, wandering like armored robots. Now, anything living comfortably in endless darkness already feels unsettling, but that darkness also shapes their behavior in disturbing ways. Speaking of disturbing, do you know isopods eat dead animals on the seafloor? While their smaller land cousins mostly eat decaying leaves and plant matter, giant isopods act as scavengers on the deep ocean floor. They feed on dead whales, fish, and squids that sink. When a large animal falls, they swarm the body quickly, and their strong jaws tear through flesh efficiently and repeatedly. Scientists have filmed dozens covering whale carcasses completely. Watching them crawl over each other while feeding aggressively is pretty scary. They may gorge until their bodies appear swollen. Some individuals even expand dramatically after a heavy meal. But as wild as it looks, this behavior helps recycle nutrients in ocean ecosystems. Without scavengers, deep-sea floors would fill with decay. Still, watching armored creatures strip a carcass feels intense. It looks more like a horror scene than biology. And speaking of jaws, their mouthparts look far more serious than anything in your backyard. Pill bugs have small, simple mouthparts for chewing plants. You rarely notice them unless you look closely. They gently scrape and nibble soft leaves, and their feeding looks harmless and slow. On the flip side, giant isopods have large mandibles built for ripping meat apart. Their mouthparts move sideways and grip strongly during feeding. Each mandible curves inward like a thick claw, and their muscles power them with surprising force. They also have sharp appendages near their mouths. These help hold food in place while chewing. These appendages act like tiny hooks and forks. They secure slippery flesh while the jaws work. Underwater footage shows them clinging tightly to carcasses, as their movements look mechanical and relentless. The combination of claws and mandibles creates a serious feeding machine, and everything about their face signals raw efficiency. Up close, images reveal details that look alien, as smooth plates surround their mouths built for tearing. However, their feeding style is not even the strangest survival trick they use. Brace yourself, but do you know isopods can go years without eating? This is unlike pill bugs that need steady access to damp plant matter. They simply cannot survive long periods without food. If conditions dry out, they weaken quickly and die. This is because their small bodies burn energy relatively fast. As for giant isopods, they live in places where meals rarely appear. Food falls from above unpredictably and infrequently. A whale carcass may appear once in years, and between those events, the seafloor stays mostly empty. Because of this, they evolve slow metabolisms. Some studies show they can actually survive years without eating. The trick is simple. Their bodies use energy very slowly to conserve resources, and they move minimally and rest for long stretches. Aquariums have recorded individuals living over a year unfed. Yet they remained alive and stable. Researchers believe their tissues store large energy reserves, and these reserves release gradually over long periods. A creature that waits patiently for years without food sounds eerie already. It feels like something built for endurance rather than speed. But if you think having an empty stomach in the dark is strange, wait till you hear about the massive broods female giant isopods carry. Theirs is unlike pill bug females who carry eggs in small fluid-filled pouches, then protect them until they hatch into tiny versions. It's true that giant isopod females follow a similar basic plan. However, the scale of everything changes dramatically underwater. Their brood pouch sits beneath the thorax and holds dozens of eggs. Those eggs rank among the largest known in marine invertebrates. Some measure nearly half an inch across in diameter, and that size allows the embryo to develop more completely before hatching. Because of this, the young skip a free swimming larval stage and emerge as fully formed miniature armored isopods. That means they crawl along the seafloor immediately after release. They do not drift helplessly in open water currents. Producing such large eggs requires huge energy investment, and females often stop feeding while carrying developing embryos. In the deep sea, that sacrifice carries serious survival risks. But reproduction is only one strange biological feature here, because their eyes bring an entirely different level of discomfort. Now, pill bugs have small compound eyes with limited vision. They sense light changes but do not see detailed images. You rarely notice their eyes unless you stare closely. They blend into the dull gray of the body. As for giant isopods, they tell a very different visual story. Their heads carry large compound eyes facing outward prominently. Each eye contains thousands of individual light-sensitive units, and these units gather faint traces of light in darkness. Deep ocean habitats receive almost no sunlight at all, so their eyes evolve to maximize every possible photon. The result looks glossy, black, and oddly reflective. Under submersible lights, the surface shines like polished glass. That shine creates an intense staring effect in photographs. It feels like the creature watches you silently. Unlike many deep-sea animals, they do not lose their vision. They rely on sight to detect movement nearby. But to be honest, large reflective eyes on an armored body feel unsettling instantly. Still, vision alone does not explain their intimidating presence, because their heavy exoskeleton adds another powerful layer of scariness. As for pill bugs, they protect themselves by rolling into tight spheres. Their segmented plates flex easily for this defensive posture. This works well against ants, beetles, and curious birds, as the soft underside stays hidden safely inside. Giant isopods also have segmented plates along their bodies. However, these plates appear thicker and far more rigid. They must withstand crushing pressure thousands of feet underwater. At those depths, pressure increases dramatically with every meter. Their exoskeleton distributes force across the body evenly. This prevents delicate internal organs from collapsing. The armor also deters predators like large fish. Few animals can easily bite through such tough material. When threatened, they curl slightly but never look harmless. Their curved shape actually resembles ancient battlefield armor. The rigid plates overlap like layered shields, and every segment interlocks tightly with the next one. Combined with long legs and antennae, the silhouette feels mechanical. But while their armor and size can scare you silly, knowing how long they've existed might give you more chills. Before we get into the specifics, it is worth mentioning that pill bugs evolved from marine ancestors long ago. They gradually adapted to breathe air through modified gill structures. Over time, they colonized damp soils across continents worldwide, and their bodies changed to suit life outside water. Giant isopods, however, still resemble ancient ocean relatives. Fossil records show similar shapes in prehistoric seas. And guess what? Some fossil isopods date back hundreds of millions of years. Strangely enough, their segmented bodies and broad tails look strikingly familiar to those of their ancestors. This minimal change suggests strong evolutionary stability. In fact, when you look at one today, you see history alive. It feels like encountering a relic from distant eras. Humans often react strongly to prehistoric-looking animals, which is another reason why giant isopods are so terrifying. The brain associates ancient forms with danger automatically, so seeing a giant isopod taps into those instincts quickly. But even with their ancient armor and alien-looking eyes, one of the strangest aspects of isopods is their uncomfortable environment and how they thrive in it. Look, pill bugs live in places we understand easily. I'm talking about gardens, sidewalks, and flower pots that feel predictable and safe. However, giant isopods exist in a world humans barely visit. The deep ocean remains one of Earth's least explored regions. Submersibles and remote vehicles capture rare glimpses occasionally, which is why most of their daily lives remain hidden from us. They walk slowly across muddy seabeds in darkness, and cold temperatures and immense pressure define their surroundings. Combine that setting with scavenging habits and heavy armor, and the mental image becomes intense very quickly. Large size alone already makes people uncomfortable. Add darkness, ancient design, and reflective eyes, and things get pretty frightening. Giant isopods remind us that our planet still hides extremes, and not everything fits neatly into our backyards. So next time you see a harmless pill bug outside, smile and be thankful its giant ocean cousin stays far below.